Julian had easily acclimated to the workplace environment at Yawa Developments. Previously, he'd worked for pharmaceutical manufacturing companies in his former home, St. Louis, Missouri. His knowledge of GMP, or good manufacturing practices, made him more than well suited for the consumer good manufacturing and distribution center. His day was winding down, and while organizing his desk, the office phone rang. The caller was the senior manufacturing manager. There was an issue at the distribution center that required Julian's immediate attention. Julian arrived at the distribution center and badged himself into the side entrance. He maneuvered his way through the labyrinth of corridors and found himself in front of the loss prevention office. Upon entrance, he was met with the senior production manager, an armed security guard, and two nondescript employees sitting quietly in handcuffs. Derek and John were distribution center employees who had been monitored for suspicion of petty larceny. The amount of merchandise lifted by these two individuals totaled an exorbitant price tag of $2,000. These men had graduated from petty larceny to grand larceny, a misdemeanor to a felony, a tap on the wrist to up to 3 years in state prison. While awaiting the arrival of the police officers, Julian was called in to co-sign the termination documentation. The police officers arrived shortly after 6:30 p.m. Derek and John rose to their feet to be escorted by the police officers. Julian stood with lowered gaze as the two men were escorted past. Suddenly, John made a sudden jerking movement and lunged toward Julian. Julian parried instinctively and shouldered John into the doorframe. John uttered a guttural grunt as he slid to the floor. The police officers stood him up and, with their apologies, escorted the two thieves from the building. The senior production manager gave Julian a congratulatory pat on the shoulder as they watched the two thieves and officers fade into the distance of the exit corridor. Julian suddenly felt a sense of unease. He had the feeling that this would not be the next time he would see John.